From Michelin-starred street food to the world's biggest underwater restaurant and a once-in-a-generation Swiss food festival.
The sun is blazing, it's so hot. I'm melting. Totally worth it.
This week, our favourite foodie trips from the past few years.
Hello and welcome to the show. Well, slowly, it does feel as though we might be able to start planning our next trip sometime soon. Around the world, there are places where the tourism industry is emerging, and fingers crossed for all those who have plans in place for this summer. Unfortunately, it's still too early for us to really get back to normal here on the Travel Show. So this week, we're going to sit back, relax, and enjoy some of our favourite food adventures from years gone by.
We start in Singapore. Back in 2016, we sent Henry Golding to get a taste of the world's first Michelin-starred street food. And typically, he even managed to make himself useful.
This is Singapore's largest hawker market in the heart of Chinatown, and is ram-packed with stalls selling traditional dishes. One stall in particular is causing quite a stir.
This queue is absolutely humongous, full of all sorts of people from Singapore, from around the world. There's a lot of tourists here, and you imagine it for some sort of concert, but in fact, it's for that hawker stall over there. It is one of two recipients here in Singapore who actually achieved a Michelin star. So I'm going to meet the chef. Hawker Chan! Hi! So this is the chef extraordinaire, Hawker Chan. And he's been cutting this for over 30 years, right?
Yeah.
30 tahun.
Yeah.
Wow.
I attempt to give Hawker Chan a hand serving crowds of people.
Do you want it spicy? Do you want it kind of medium? Do you want it... Spicy. Spicy is okay? Half chili, yeah?
The stall has become famous for serving the world's cheapest Michelin star meal.
We're a well-oiled machine here, but I'm feeling the pressure. So one sauce here.
One portion cost less than $2. But the wait can be up to 3 hours.
Oh, so the rice is boiling. That was pretty good.
Okay, I have a chicken noodle and a chicken rice to take away.
Okay.
那些外国来的还有旅游客本地都是蛮长，以前我没有这么长的，现在真的我自己有点害怕。
And so do you think you receiving a Michelin star as a hawker will raise the profile and hopefully inspire a lot of new generation of young sort of chefs and hawkers?
所以自从米其林来到这个新加坡，我们成为hawker里面都可以成为一星之后，我有听说过以后会有很多年轻人愿意加入的，因为除了自己做老板赚钱，而且还会成为名厨的所以说我相信他们一定会有一天会多出来的。
The next morning I head to check out Timber Plus, which aims to put a trendy spin on the traditional hawker centre, selling food from shipping containers and caravans rather than market stalls.
And so what's the sauce that is actually marinating in?
It's my dad's secret recipe.
It's a secret recipe,
Yeah.
so it's a generational thing.
Yeah, it
Right.
is.
So your dad was a hawker before?
Yep, he was. And places like this will actually encourage a little more like youngsters to actually start out a business in maybe a little bit better environment. It's not a traditional hawker center where it's more rowdy. Like I revamped my logo to suit this place because it's more like a hipster area.
It's still hot and hard work, but it's hoped these new, more contemporary surroundings will encourage the next generation of Singaporeans to keep creating some of the best street food in the world.
And since our report, Hawker Chan has managed to expand his little outlet across Southeast Asia and beyond. Now, back in 2018, we visited the Philippines and discovered an extraordinary restaurant called Van Gogh is Bipolar. It's themed around the mental health issues of its owner, and Jethro invites guests to eat food there for the benefit of both body and soul. Mike Corey paid him a visit.
Welcome to Van Gogh is Bipolar.
Hi.
Yeah, are you checking
Dining alone tonight.
Before you even think of picking up a menu here, you're encouraged to get involved.
Step 1, take off your footwear. Check. Step 2, you're the life server.
Yeah, I am the life server. By the way, my name is Maricar.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, and I'll be serving you tonight.
Step 3, pick a hat and wear it.
Yes.
It's like a performance in which you play a part. You choose a hat, make yourself a tee to match your mood, and write a message on the wall.
So I write my deepest, darkest secret on the wall for everybody to see. Privacy, please. Come on now, guys.
Van Gogh is Bipolar is the brainchild of this man.
Welcome to my kitchen. I call it the cuckoo kitchen.
Why the cuckoo kitchen?
Well, because I'm crazy.
Jethro Raphael is bipolar. It's a condition that used to be known as manic depression and can make your mood swing from one extreme to the other. But Jethro says this place is his therapy.
Before Van Gogh is Bipolar, I was on the brink of committing suicide. And I do not see any ray of light. And all I see is the darkness. I'm just so negative, very pessimistic. And most of the time, I do not like people. I do not like being with people. Oh, I created this medicine, natural medicine, and it's mood healing nutrition. So the diet is designed scientifically and nutritionally to activate specific neurotransmitters in the brain, known to make you happy and calm.
Hello. Hello.
This is actually Jethro's home too. He lives upstairs, and during the day he opens his restaurant to the community, feeding some, employing others. These local street kids can turn up for a hot meal whenever they want, and the in-house musician is a blind beggar approached by Jethro. Even the waiting staff have mental health conditions. Maricar has twice attempted suicide.
Since I was diagnosed with a mental health condition, my family was been distant to me. So it was only Jethro who had given me some hope.
So with all these stories, it's easy to forget that this is a restaurant that serves food. When you order, you tick a box to reflect the mood you want to achieve. And back comes the dishes that Jethro thinks will help.
For your main course, it's actually meant to make you calm. For tonight, it's made out of free-range chicken and fresh lamb from the farm of Jethro.
You've come a long way. This restaurant for you has done what? What do you think you've achieved?
Life is more simple now, and that's a big change. Now I see me, I hear me, I feel me. The space serves as a safe haven for the community, for people who are lost, who are abandoned, and also we give them that sacred space that they needed, where they feel accepted, celebrated, and unconditionally loved.
In the northwest of Ireland, the city of Galway has been named 2020 European Capital of Culture. Unfortunately, due to lockdown, they've had to delay their programme of events until at least September. But the last time we visited there, we did see one of its gastronomic highlights.
This is the heart of the oyster bed. The wild oysters here, you see them here, the native flat oyster, they've come from the wild oyster fishery out here. There's 800 acres of wild oyster fishery. The fishermen go out there in the winter months, November and December, and they fish them off the beds. We buy them and we put them on our own bed here, where they develop their own unique flavour. And they get that from the fresh water coming in from the fields of Athenry. And we have the Burren to the south and we have Connemara to the north, so you really have wonderful flavours and textures in the oyster when they develop. So these oysters, we're taking them up and they'll be brought over to the packing shed where they'll be sorted and graded and packed into the baskets, and they're heading off to London. They'll be over 36 hours, they'll be on the restaurant table over there. Some people like to eat them. They love to put a drop of Tabasco or a squeeze of lemon or a crack of black pepper or even horseradish and tomato sauce. But because they're so good here and the flavours are so good, we just eat them au naturel. So we squeeze the knife in here, we pop the shell, and we slide back and we cut the muscle to release the top shell. And then we have a beautiful native wild flat oyster from Galway Bay. Take a nice smell and savour the flavour and the taste, take a sip of the juice, and slide it in. Delicious. Stay here all day eating this.
Well, make sure you do stay with us because we've still got lots of fantastic food adventures coming up, including
feeding our faces at the Pizza World Championships.
I've got my secret voting sheet here. It's all being taken very seriously.
And face-to-face with the fish course, a dinner to remember under Norway's chilly seas.
Next, we're heading to the spiritual home of pizza.
The city of Naples in Italy has been holding the Pizza World Championship since 1991. Jo Worley's no stranger to a thin and crispy slice, so we sent her along.
This is Napoli Pizza Village, the world's biggest open-air pizzeria, stretching for more than a kilometre along the coastline of Naples. It's an annual festival dedicated to all things dough.
So I'm about to do a masterclass with some of the best pizza makers in the whole of Naples. A little bit apprehensive.
To be a true Neapolitan pizza, the dough needs to be prepared in a special way. And here at the festival, tourists can give it a go.
3, 2, 1, roll it!
It's really quite tricky.
There's not much of a spin.
Now that I fully appreciate exactly what it takes to make a proper Neapolitan margherita, I'm told that tomorrow I can join the judging panel of the Caputo Cup, the Pizza World Championships.
This is my voting form. Got the name of the chef, my name, and the different categories of marks that I can give each pizza. 500 is the best and 10 is the worst.
My fellow judge Mario shows me how to inspect all aspects of the slice to check the crust is bouncy and that I can taste all the distinct ingredients. There are 9 categories of pizza to judge, and it's a grueling pace.
So on slice number 7, Mario has had over 40 slices. This is 14. Still going strong.
So I've had 38 slices of pizza, and I've just seen that they've started to clear up the tables. So I think the end might actually be in sight.
Then we get word that the final pizza is being sliced.
Number 52, the last one. It's a really unusual flavour, sort of mustardy. I quite like it though.
While the votes are being counted, the award for pizza acrobatics is judged. It's seriously skillful. The award ceremony goes on into the night, and there are winners from across the globe. The organisers here hope to take the Napoli Pizza Village Festival to cities like London and New York and spread the message around the world that Neapolitan pizza isn't just food, it's a way of life.
Next, let's head to the shores of Lake Geneva for a festival that takes place only once every 25 years. Lucy went along to find out more and even got a place centre stage.
As well as being home to UNESCO-protected Lavaux vineyards, Vevey is known for its living tradition, the Fête de Vigna. A 3-week-long celebration of wine that transforms the town. While Switzerland might not spring to mind when you think of wine, they actually produce around 100 million litres a year, exporting only 2% of it. Now, the festival itself actually began as a one-day feast hosted by an ancient brotherhood as a way to reward the best winemaker in the region. And it clearly takes the locals a while to recover, as the festival only takes place once every 20 to 25 years. The Fête de Vigneron began in 1797 as a small parade through the streets of Vevey. But because of unrest in the region over the next couple of decades, the next event wasn't organised for another 22 years, a cycle that has remained ever since. Today, the climax of the celebration is a daily show that takes place in a specially built stadium and features over 5,000 volunteers. And this year, the show has been created by the man behind Cirque du Soleil. Now, as the creator of this incredible show, what's it like creating something that only happens once every 20 years?
It's something very unusual in some form. And it's like really a theater show, but with 5,000 of actors, maybe more, 6,000, something like that.
So with 5,000 people in your show, do you think you've got room for one more?
Dance with your hands. Do this.
Dance with my hands?
Yeah.
You are in. Does that mean I'm in?
You are in.
I'm in. The show itself represents a year in the life of a vineyard. And in order to have enough roles for that many volunteers, it means even the bugs and birds get their moment in the spotlight. So I've got my moves. Now it's time to get my costume. These are huge. How do I look? Am I working it?
You're amazing.
Then the 3-hour extravaganza began.
The sun is blazing, it's so hot. I'm melting. Totally worth it. Look at this atmosphere.
I can't think of another place where multiple generations from one family get the chance to be involved in such an epic experience together.
This really means a lot to a lot of people. There's a lot of emotions running high, and I can see why. The choreography wasn't as important in the end. Everyone was freestyling, but it looked really good. And what an honour to take part of something that only happens once every 20 years. I ain't going to be this limber in 20 years, I'll tell you that now.
Finally this week, we're going to the appropriately named Under. It's Europe's first and the world's largest underwater restaurant. And its unique design blends with the environment to give diners a truly breathtaking experience.
My name is Stig Ubestad. I'm the part owner, together with my brother, of Under. It's the world's largest underwater restaurant and the first in Europe. But it's much more than just that.
The challenge was really to find a form and a shape and a location that could actually withstand these forces that we knew were coming. So the solution was a pipe. And it was constructed on a barge, then transported to this site and carefully lifted off the barge onto its very precise foundation points. Because a big issue is, of course, not to ruin the place while you're constructing. So it had to be put down in a really careful manner in order to maintain the landscape and the water landscape, not the least, not to ruin the ecology of the place. So once that was done, everyone was breathing out. That was the real most challenging part of the project.
The head chef, Nikolai, he's been working on the menu now for 1.5 years, just working with it and foraging and exploring new ways of using different variety of the sea.
In the mornings I like to go out and forage for different kinds of things. Right now at this time of year it's mostly seaweed. I think it's so nice to tell the guests that this sorrel we forage just out here 150 meters from the restaurant. There's so many things that are not getting used. Everybody wants only the best ingredients, but why can't a ling roe not be good? It's definitely better for the environment if people eat the things next door instead of having flued in foie gras and truffle every day.
Some days you will get a lot of fish, and some days it's not that good. That's how nature is. It's nothing more, nothing less. It's nature at its best.
Well, that's all we've got time for on this week's programme. They're coming up next week.
Simon's here for a look at how some airlines still aren't paying your refunds. And Addie's in Venice to find out how it's welcoming visitors back without the shoulder-to-shoulder crowds that have made headlines in recent years.
In the meantime, you can catch up with all of our adventures on our social media pages. A little reminder of what the world looks like when we're able to go out and see it. Let's hope it's not too long before we can do so again. Until next time, from me, Crystal Larwood, and the rest of the Travel Show team, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.